Let's be honest, most people are building businesses backward, chasing money without meaning, launching fast without asking why, and calling it success just because it's loud and busy. But what if we've been building on the wrong foundation all along? What if the real blueprint for a thriving business was hidden not in the latest trends, but in the ancient wisdom of King Solomon? Yes, Solomon, the man who never ran ads, never posted a funnel, never pitched investors, yet attracted kings, gold, and influence beyond measure. How? Because he aligned his business with heaven before he ever laid a single brick on earth. And that's exactly what modern entrepreneurs are missing. This isn't just about making money. It's about building a Christian business that carries the weight of a godly mission. You've been told to grind harder, scale faster, and automate everything. But Solomon would tell you something different. Start with fear of the Lord, build with excellence, and let wisdom, not hype, be your strategy. Sounds slow? Maybe. But ask yourself, how's the fast lane been working for your peace, your purpose, your relationships? So if you're tired of doing business the world's way and ending up burned out, broke, or bitter, it's time to try something radically different. Solomon, different. Kingdom, different. Because the truth is, when God becomes your strategist, the money doesn't just grow, it multiplies with meaning. Wisdom as the first investment. Why starting without discernment is a setup for failure. Before Solomon built the temple, before he became the wealthiest man of his time, he asked for one thing: wisdom. Not money, not influence. Wisdom. And that wasn't a coincidence. In a world obsessed with shortcuts and hustle culture, Solomon's first move reveals a divine pattern. Discernment precedes prosperity. A Christian business without wisdom is like a ship without a rudder. No matter how fast it sails, it's lost. And that's exactly where many entrepreneurs fail. They move before hearing. Imagine launching a business simply because it seems like a good idea. That's not strategy. That's gambling. Solomon knew that clarity comes from intimacy with God. Proverbs 4:7 says, "Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom." Today, wisdom might mean researching your market, praying before every decision, or spending more time listening than posting. The fastest way to burn money is to follow trends without discernment. But when wisdom leads, even slow growth becomes stable wealth. Let's be real, many start with passion but ignore preparation. Passion may ignite the fire, but it's wisdom that sustains it. Solomon's writings constantly connect wisdom with longevity, peace, and prosperity. In modern terms, that's a godly business that isn't just lucrative but lasting. Want a practical start? Read Proverbs like your life depends on it, or study Business by the Book by Larry Burkett. To frame your financial habits in biblical truth, Solomon wouldn't be pitching NFTs or chasing viral trends for the sake of money. He would ask, is this aligned with the kingdom? Does this reflect God's character? Because here's the thing. Without discernment, your Christian business might attract money, but it won't keep it. And speaking of foundations, there's something deeper Solomon did before even picking up a stone to build. Let's talk about that next. Build like Solomon. Start with purpose, structure, and the fear of the Lord. Solomon didn't start building the temple with a random sketch and a dream. He followed divine blueprints, prayed for guidance, and surrounded himself with people of skill and reverence. A godly business begins the same way, not just with a goal to make money, but with a calling, a structure, and a surrendered heart. Proverbs 9:10 reminds us, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom," and that's also the beginning of strategy. You wouldn't build a skyscraper without checking the soil. So why start a business without first checking your spiritual and emotional foundation? Solomon's success was rooted in alignment, not ambition. Today, that might mean creating a mission statement that reflects your values, or establishing rhythms of prayer and fasting before product development. Because in a Christian business, you don't separate vision from devotion. They walk hand in hand. Structure matters. Solomon assigned specific roles, timelines, and resources for every phase of construction. In modern business terms, that looks like setting clear goals, defining responsibilities, and stewarding finances with intention. Want to apply this? Use tools like Notion or Trello to organize your systems. Build a budget with tithing in mind. Don't just plan for sales, plan for sustainability. Because even the most anointed idea can fail without structure. And here's what's often overlooked. Solomon didn't start fast, he started right. He paused, prepared, and only then proceeded. That level of intentionality separates noise from legacy. So if you're feeling pressured to rush, pause and ask, am I building like Solomon, or just building to keep up? Because before he laid the foundation stones, there was something else Solomon made sure to build first. And it wasn't walls or altars. Real advisors only. The power of a God-aligned circle. Solomon didn't rule alone. Even with divine wisdom, he surrounded himself with counselors, priests, scribes, architects, and diplomats, each chosen with care and spiritual alignment. In a Christian business, your circle isn't just about skill, it's about spirit. Proverbs 15:22 says, "Plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisors they succeed." So the question isn't just, who do you talk to, but who do you actually listen to? You can have a six-figure idea and ruin it with 5-cent advice. That's why the people around your business matter just as much as the product you're selling. Solomon wouldn't take business tips from fools. He'd consult those with kingdom values and proven fruit. In today's world, that might mean mentoring with someone who's walked with God through multiple business cycles, or forming a prayer circle of business owners who fear the Lord more than they fear the market. Let's get practical. Who's speaking into your business right now? A godly business shouldn't be echoing the voices of scarcity, pride, or hustle for hustle's sake. Instead, bring in Christian financial coaches, biblically minded CPAs, and accountability partners who will tell you the truth, not just what you want to hear. One book I recommend here is Kingdom Advisors by Ron Blue. It'll change how you think about financial wisdom and community. And here's the key. Solomon's counselors weren't just wise, they were trusted. That kind of trust is built with time, prayer, and shared vision. So before you scale your business, scale your discernment. Because there's something even more dangerous than bad advice. And it's building with the wrong motive. And that's exactly where Solomon's next lesson comes in. Multiplication, not accumulation. How Solomon would use money to create impact. Solomon didn't hoard wealth. He circulated it. The gold, the spices, the tribute from nations, it all flowed with purpose. His money wasn't just sitting in vaults. It was fueling temples, cities, and relationships between kingdoms. That's the difference between worldly wealth and kingdom stewardship. A Christian business multiplies not just profits, but people, purpose, and peace. Ecclesiastes 11:2 even says, invest in 7 ventures, yes, in 8. You do not know what disaster may come. In today's terms, that might look like diversifying income streams with intentionality. Not out of fear, but out of wisdom. Investing in real estate to provide affordable housing, funding missionaries, backing faith-aligned startups. These are the kind of moves Solomon would admire. He wouldn't be flexing Lamborghinis on social media. He'd be building water systems, education centers, and infrastructure for generations to come. Impact over image, always. It's not wrong to earn money, but it is wrong to let money be the end goal. Solomon saw wealth as a tool, not a trophy. That perspective changes everything. Want to multiply like Solomon? Tithe regularly. Invest biblically. Consider faith-based ETFs like Inspire Investing. And always ask, how does this move expand the kingdom? Because when your money is kingdom-minded, it multiplies far beyond your own household. And that's the beauty of a godly business. It doesn't just succeed, it leaves a legacy. But how do you maintain excellence while expanding your reach? How do you keep multiplying without losing the original fire that God gave you? Well, Solomon knew exactly what to do next, and it had everything to do with how you build. Excellence as strategy. Why God honors businesses done well. Solomon wasn't sloppy with anything. From the measurements of the temple to the craftsmanship of every utensil, everything was done with excellence, not just beauty, precision. That tells us something powerful. In a godly business, mediocrity isn't ministry. Excellence is a testimony. When people saw the temple, they didn't just admire the gold. They glorified the God who inspired it. That's the power of doing things with care. Excellence attracts favor. People trust what's consistent, clear, and well done. Solomon's kingdom became a global magnet not just because of its wealth, but because of its reputation. In today's world, that looks like clean branding, integrity in customer service, prompt responses, and products that actually solve problems. It's not about perfection, it's about intention. Are you honoring God in how you deliver what you promised? And excellence isn't expensive, it's disciplined. Solomon didn't waste, he refined. You can build a high-level Christian business from your living room if you're committed to order, clarity, and service. If you're doing coaching, use platforms like Kajabi or Teachable with high production value. If you're selling products, make sure your packaging and messaging are excellent, even if simple, because when God is in it, even the small things reflect the kingdom. Want to know the secret? Solomon's excellence wasn't for applause, it was for worship. He built as an act of reverence. That's what makes a Christian business powerful, when every touch point is a reflection of your fear of the Lord. But how do you keep that standard without burning out? That's when the rhythm of the kingdom kicks in. And it's not what the hustle culture wants you to hear. Peace over pace. The rhythm of the kingdom is different from the world. Solomon wasn't rushed. Even with the weight of a nation on his shoulders, he moved with divine timing. That's something today's entrepreneur forgets in the race for revenue. In a godly business, peace is not a luxury, it's a strategy. Isaiah 26. 3 promises. You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast because they trust in you. That peace allows you to hear God more clearly and make decisions that last. Pace can become an idol. Social media screams, "Go faster," but the kingdom whispers, "Go deeper." Solomon didn't rush the temple's construction. It took 7 years with every detail measured. In today's world, that could mean scaling slow, saying no to certain partnerships, or taking Sabbath seriously even when sales are spiking. Because when peace leads the process, pressure doesn't have the final say. Here's a practical application. Set boundaries for your work. Don't let your phone dictate your priorities. Use time blocking to protect moments of prayer and reflection. Read The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry by John Mark Comer. It's a game changer for anyone blending faith and entrepreneurship. In a Christian business, rest is not laziness. It's alignment. And from that alignment flows clarity, creativity, and sustained growth. The world honors hustle, but God honors obedience. Solomon didn't become rich by burning out. He became rich by staying aligned. So before you chase your next milestone, ask yourself, am I building under pressure or under peace? Because soon, Solomon will show us how choosing the right partnerships can protect both your purpose and your pace. Alliances, not just opportunities. How Solomon chose his business relationships. Solomon didn't form alliances just for convenience. He did it with strategy and spiritual discernment. From his partnership with King Hiram to his marriage treaties with foreign nations, each relationship was formed with intention. In a Christian business, not every opportunity is a God opportunity. 2 Corinthians 6:14 warns, do not be unequally yoked. That includes co-founders, investors, even clients. Alignment matters more than access. When you build a business, you don't just build a brand, you build a culture, and culture is contagious. Solomon surrounded himself with people who understood the vision and respected the God he served. Today, that might mean turning down a well-paying client who mocks your faith, or passing on a high-profile investor who demands you cut out the Christian part of your marketing. A godly business stands firm, even when it's costly. Let's get practical. Before entering any partnership, pray. Ask God for peace or pause. Do background research, not just financially but spiritually. Are they people of integrity? Do they tithe? Do they serve or just sell? And ask yourself, if I succeed with this person, what will I be building? Because not all growth is kingdom growth. Some alliances become golden cages that trap your calling. Solomon used alliances to multiply influence and honor God's name across nations. That's the model. Your business relationships should be bridges, not bombs. They should take you deeper into your purpose, not farther from your principles. And if you're wondering how favor can still find you even when you say no to the wrong deal, Solomon has something to show you about the kind of blessing that chases you down. The blessing attracts resources. Divine favor as your competitive advantage. Solomon didn't need to beg for riches. Blessings chased him. The Queen of Sheba brought gold, spices, and questions, not because Solomon had the best marketing, but because he carried the favor of God. That same principle still applies today. In a Christian business, the presence of God is your X factor. Psalm 5:12 says, "For you bless the righteous, O Lord. You surround him with favor as with a shield." We often think money comes from hustle, but Solomon shows us it flows from honor. He honored God first, and wealth followed. That's not prosperity gospel. It's biblical pattern. When your business is aligned with God's heart, He sends the people, platforms, and provision. Divine connections open doors that no ad campaign ever could. The right podcast invitation, a random recommendation, or even supernatural debt cancellation, favor changes everything. So how do you attract this blessing? It's not about performance, it's about position. Prioritize prayer over pitch decks. Build integrity into your operations. Stay humble when success knocks. Solomon didn't chase kings. They came to him. That's what happens when your godly business becomes a light, not a loudspeaker. The world may applaud noise, but heaven backs substance. Favor isn't always flashy, but it's always fruitful. It may not make you viral, but it'll make you stable. Solomon's abundance was the result of alignment, not algorithm. So if you're wondering how to sustain what you built without striving, the answer may not be in your strategy, but in your posture. And that's something Solomon fiercely protected, especially when the spotlight was brightest. Lead with reverence. How to keep your heart right when success arrives. Success can be more dangerous than failure because it tests the heart. Solomon started with humility, but later allowed compromise to creep in through idols and foreign influences. That's a warning for anyone running a Christian business. When the money flows and the spotlight shines, will your soul stay anchored? Proverbs 4:23 says, "Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it." It's easy to think success makes you invincible, but Solomon's story proves that wisdom without worship eventually crumbles. That's why every godly business needs guardrails. Build systems that protect your integrity, accountability partners, regular Sabbath rest, and time in the Word that isn't just for content, but for connection. Leadership isn't just about what you produce, it's about who you become in the process. Practically speaking, set limits before you're forced to. Decide now how much is enough. Create giving thresholds so that generosity scales with your growth. Use money as a magnifier for ministry, not ego. Solomon had everything. But near the end of his life, he wrote Ecclesiastes as a man realizing that without God, even gold is meaningless. Learn from his rise and his regrets. Because here's the real question. Can God trust you with influence? Can he trust you not to forget him once the success becomes normal? Solomon's legacy is both a model and a mirror. And if you want your Christian business to outlast you, there's one more shift you must make. A shift that repositions everything about how you lead. God as CEO, when a Christian business becomes a godly business. Solomon didn't just lead with wisdom. He led with worship. His first public act as king was a massive offering to God, not a strategy meeting, not a team huddle. Worship. That's the posture shift that turns a Christian business into a godly business. When God becomes your CEO, you stop building for success and start building from obedience. Psalm 127:1 declares, "Unless the Lord builds the house, the builders labor in vain." It's easy to slap a Bible verse on your website and call it Christian, but the fruit reveals the root. A godly business reflects the heart of God in its policies, pricing, people, and purpose. It prays before launching. It repents when wrong. It treats clients like image bearers, not transactions. And it listens to the Holy Spirit more than to market trends. This isn't just business. It's discipleship in motion. Here's a practical challenge. Invite God into your next business decision before you check analytics or pitch investors. Ask, "Lord, what would you do if you were running this?" Because, spoiler alert, He is. Read God Owns My Business by Stanley Tam and let it stretch your faith. A godly business isn't afraid of small beginnings because it trusts in big obedience. And when God runs the company, you carry peace, purpose, and provision into every room. You're not just building wealth, you're expanding heaven's reach on earth. And maybe, just maybe, this is the model Solomon would follow if he had a laptop instead of a throne. But before we close, let's take a step back and look at where this wisdom journey truly begins. Now that you've seen how Solomon would launch a business in today's world, what are you going to do with that wisdom? Will it be just another inspiring message you forget by tomorrow? Or will this be the turning point, the moment you finally stop separating your faith from your finances? Because here's the truth. You don't need another business tactic. You need alignment. And when your Christian business aligns with kingdom principles, money begins to flow with purpose, and peace becomes your new normal. What would change if your business stopped being a burden and became your ministry? What kind of legacy could you build if you stopped chasing success and started building through obedience? Will you keep waiting for the perfect moment? Or will you take one step, even a small one, toward the vision God has already placed in your hands? Write in the comments, "My business belongs to God," and watch how this powerful declaration shifts the direction of your finances and business starting today. If this message touched your heart, consider supporting our ministry through the link in the description. And don't forget to subscribe, turn on notifications, and join us as we uncover more biblical truths for building businesses that truly honor God.